Hello, my friends. Today is going to be fun. I just recalled a statement from one of my bosses long ago. He was a hot sketch. He came in, he used to come in every now and then, and he was going to get rid of some people. This was a transition when there was people that didn't do their job, they had no clue what they're doing, didn't care, and then there was other people that did a good job, wanted to understand and learn. So he would come in and he'd say, okay, it's time to change the names to protect the innocent. And then he'd clean house. But, it's time to do that. It's time to clean house. Right? And I'll show you why. Okay, my friends, Roger once again, and I am going to speak to you about my university, which is studying virtually everything now. And we are starting, well, here with giant human beings. DNA certified. This all came from a dig this on my own property. That is the complete palm. And then these are all parts, and that's the toe, a giant toe. And that was way on the other end of the property, and this was up on the other end where we had a little, we did a little digging, and this stuff just popped up, and then it just started popping out of the ground everywhere. And then it's DNA certified. I'll show you the test. So, getting back to my original statement about it's time to change the names to protect the innocent, let's look at what a breach of fiduciary duty is in the law. Now, it basically boils down to this. What does it mean to breach one's fiduciary duty? Well, what is fiduciary duty? At its most basic level, the fiduciary relationship may exist when a party places confidence and trust in another party, like a student to their professor in university, with that party's full knowledge. They understand that they are there they came to them for help and paying them. The party who owes a duty to the other party in such a relationship is called a fiduciary. That's the teacher or university. For instance, attorneys are fiduciaries to their clients. They have to act in their best interest, otherwise they could steal their money and teach them lies. I mean, tell them things that aren't true. But in order for this duty to be legally enforceable, the relationship must have been created either under law or through the factual circumstance of relationship. Well, I see the teacher-student relationship as fiduciary, but I could be wrong, because I'm told I am quite often. So let's see if it holds up. Maybe somebody should test it. And then you would say, test it as to what, Roger? And I would say, test it as to the fact that I presented this to Yale University, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, every single university, basically, and they all refused it. Now, to me, that's a systemic, racketeering. How can you this is something that is virtually undeniable. I have the DNA test, I have the specimens, there is zero reason not to look at it. I see it as they're protecting themselves against the student's interest. Again, could be totally wrong. Okay, now, this was DNA certified by Helix Biolabs. Now, he did not extract the DNA from this. I did the extraction, but I took it right from where the blood is. I didn't take it from just scraping it off the surface. So he makes no claims that what I sent him is real. I could have sent him my own blood. And everybody's saying, oh, you must have contaminated it. Well, I can tell you what, bull. I didn't contaminate anything. I did it very carefully, and I took it from what I knew was an arterial source. And he said it was dense. He said it was very dense for ancient DNA. Obviously it was dense, it was blood. I have stuff here that literally gush blood. I'm going to show you scabs. This is a lung. That thing had actual bubbles of blood, every one of those red spots. And they would start to turn very red right now because they still can be very quickly hydrated. You see that? I just put a little water on there. When this first came out of the ground, this literally leaked blood onto my counter. I have pictures of it. So, blood is the preservative. It's just, everything is not the way we were told. So we're going to go through all this stuff. I'll show you one thing at a time. This is a giant toe. I mean, here's a knuckle. That's a knuckle, and here's where the muscle is still on the other side. See, that's the bone ball, and this is the muscle that wraps around it. You go, and this is the ligament that comes out. It's a finger. This thing was big. And that's the tip of a finger, a knuckle, a thumb. That's a thumb, and this here, you see, that's the black. That's the vein blood. Vein blood turns black. No, we don't need that. And the red blood doesn't turn black. And that's the fingertip. And that's the pads of the underneath, just exactly like yours. I see it under the microscope. It has all of the same patterns of the fibers. And we're going to go through each one of these real quickly, and then sooner or later somebody's going to have to take a look at this stuff, because it needs to be taken a look at. This is not just a curiosity. Think about it. You know, oh sure, it's fabulous. Ooh, you know, that's all I ever get is like people looking for things that are spectacular. That's fine, but this is a bigger, deeper, gigantic, huge, eternal meaning here that should be thought about in some manner. I mean, think about it however you want. I'm thinking about it deeply because I think it impacts our eternity if we just turn our backs on things that impact our eternity, and I think these things do. I think the things that were written have a lot of merit. Now, in my point of view, I'm not discounting anything that was written in the past now. I take that much more to heart than anything that's written within the last couple thousand years. All right, we're going to go through some stuff. In that DNA test, there's 3 tests were done. One of them was on this lung, the sample from this lung, from the red part of this blood. Everything was from the blood. The other one was from a gigantic fingertip, much bigger than this, and that is the actual fingerprints that are on the bottom of that fingertip. And I'll show you the fingertip in a second. It's 30 inches wide, just the fingertip itself. Now, and then of course there's this I just found is the toe, and that I found close to 100 feet away from where I found the fingertips and the knuckles and the palm and all the other stuff. It's all out there. And there's a mound out there that is completely covered with moss. I probably should show you the thing. I probably will. Anyway, and I could show you where these things are just laying on the ground. And I mean, this is a toe. That is a toe. And I'm going to show you with the microscope that there's just no question what it is. You can see all of the the biology that relates to this. It's a toe. And they have these hooks in them. See that hook? They all have a hook where the tendons engage. You know, like, where is that? See it? See, they all have a hook like that. Even this one here that's all eroded out. And that's the pattern of a distal phalanges, that black pattern. And get any doctor to start looking at this. And there's the hook on this one, see? They all have a hook where the tendons lock in. And I have a ton of tendons over here. I have so much stuff. I have literally thousands of things. And they're all checked out. And I mean, it's meat. This stuff turned to meat from a process I call, well, I'm not going to even say the word because then they turn me off. But I understand it pretty damn well. And that is a toe too. That toe might have started out almost this size because that's all that's left is metals. And then that piece of bone right there, that's the last what was in that toe. There's the blood. The blood will eat, there's spots. Well, there's the artery and the vein. You see how they have all this? Always going to have that articulation on the side. There's going to be these 2 bumps and the other's going to be rounded. You got another one right over here. Hold on. Take a moment. Oh, here it is. There's another one. Now this one, you see the same thing, only this one wasn't the lowest part. What happens is the metals sink to the lowest part. This is a guy's toe. He died standing like this in the mud. straight standing up in a flood, saltwater flood. Eventually, all of the metals sunk down and ended up collecting at the bottom of his foot. And there's where the blood, the last bit of the arterial blood, see, it's the same, this is the same deal. It's the same deal, only this is opposite side. You see? They're all the same, even there's a little hook in them. It's the same. There's where the blood blows out. There's two holes on the side. See it? Here's another one. This one does the same thing. See it? There's the two holes on the side. One here and one down here. There's one at the end. Same thing here. There's the one at the end. There's the two on the sides. That's the artery side. Veins don't blow out because they have a clamp on them. See, that's the vein right there, but it doesn't blow out because there's a clamp. Same thing on the end. These do. These two blow. The artery side blows out. Same thing here. Artery, 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 vein, vein. See? Here's the vein. Here's the artery. Vein, vein. See it? Vein, vein. In the microscope you can see it. Artery, artery. The arteries blow out. And I mean, I got so much of this stuff that it's at this point I have no. It's just not wrong what I'm saying. There's no way to deny what I'm saying. None. Zero. The case is closed. The only case that's open is the minds that are closed. Why is that? Why can't this be looked at? Why can't this be examined by somebody that is making all these claims and none of this stuff exists? That's my question. Okay, once again, get your doctors, whatever. There's the cartilage at the top of this bone head. Now you see all those little pocks and holes and foramens, they call them. There's all different names they use for them. This fabric that's on here is tunica. And I'm going to show you the fabric in the microscope shots. And there's different types of fabrics. There's grip skin fabric, there's thin skins, you know, and anyway, this is what you see inside these little holes and things that are all in these. And like I say, there's all kind of different areas. The grip skin is very cool. It has these, well, you'll see in a second. Here goes. I'll just run through these real quick because I got a lot of them. Whoops, what's going on? Oh, wrong mouse. That happens all the time. All right, here we go. What do we got here? All right, so we got, those are like little bone foramens and so forth. And down inside there, that's where blood runs. And it feeds the muscles inside. See all those little black spots? Those are interstitium balls. And they are all over your skin. And then there's a bunch of little fibers that run between them. But those are the anchors so your skin can move and then return. That's just another blood vessel. I don't know. This is just all shots I took a long time ago. This is all just biology. See it? There's down inside the blood vessels. They're loaded with blood. I mean, they're saturated with blood. There's the interstitium balls. There's little black spots. There's so many on you, you wouldn't believe it. Now, this is the kind of fabric that's on top of skin. See, that's the interstitium balls. There's the skin. Now, you're going into more of a fabric area here, but you still have your interstitium. I don't know what that is. Here you go into some bloody areas, you know, because blood goes through your whole body. And as it crystallizes, the blood is the thing that makes jewels and gems and everything else. You think, no, that's vein blood. That's a vein spot. And that's what they do. They puddle up in that black looking thing. Now that's just some kind of blood vessel. This is tendon ball, the outside of a tendon ball. That is what they refer to as shock cords. And it's not. It's inside of a lung. That's all it is. It's inside of a lung like that. But they see these. I got some better shots of that. Hold on. All right, see that? Now, that's the blood inside the lung. And these are the transfer molecules that pick up the gases. These different colors pick up different gases. I'm telling you. See that? That's inside of a lung. That's what's going on there. Now, when it's alive, you don't see it. That's inside of a lung. Inside of a lung. In a lung, in a lung. I don't know if that's in a lung. So. But these, mostly that was lungs. No, that's inside of a lung. That I probably is in a lung that was in a different condition. I'm sure that was probably the same. I don't know. All right, here's what happens. If you take, here's a lung right here. All right, you see that? Now inside that lung, you see this color, the red color? That's blood. It's blood. It's just blood. That's all it is. Now, and obviously that's what happens in a lung. Now, when those blood vessels and so forth get evacuated, crystals start to grow in them, just like that. They call them vugs. Now, there's some more blood inside of a lung. It's just, and they crystallize. Once they start to crystallize, they grow. The crystals grow. That's still got some black blood locked in the middle of some crystals, and there's a red blood locked in the middle of some crystals. This is, oops, what happened there? Hold on. That is what happens on the edge of, what do I got over here? Well, it's on the edge of lungs. You see that fabric looking stuff? That's this fabric here. Right. And then as you cut into this, you go into this type of material. They call it basalt and so forth. Well, it's not basalt, it's biology. What do we got here? All right, now see, this is the outside, that fabric, and then you go down inside and you get into that biology. All right, this is all fabric coatings. When you see these fabric coatings, see little tiny blood spots here and there? That, I think, is some... All right, way down there by that cedar tree, about maybe 10 feet behind it, is where I found the big toe. And that just was recently. Now up here is where, you know, in other words, all the way from down there, come all the way up here. This is all moss up here, and you see it? It's all moss, and if you, and even to here, if you can see this, this is not grass. This is moss in here. You see that? I hope you can see that. I can't see what I'm looking at, so. And if you smell that moss, and you smell the mud fossils, here I said the word again, I don't care. But if you smell the fossils after they're wet, they smell identical. And anyway, so we way down there, now we got moss on this hill. This is a pretty good, you know, well, you can see what it is. And then right that end part was a little addition that we had put on. And underneath that is where the palm and all that stuff was found. So this is a, you know, it's a rise. If you come all the way around here, it comes down. See it? Look, zoom, it goes down that way. Now all the way around the property, there's woods everywhere, and all around these fields. There's fields up here. Well, here I'll show you. The stone fence that goes around here. There's that little rise that goes around here. Those are stones, big stones. Now it's all covered with leaves and debris now, but there are huge, huge stones here surrounding my entire property in a, oof, try to bite me, in a bunch of different ways. There, I have them running everywhere. Like, see that one right there? I can't see, it's too bright out here, so I don't know if I'm even focusing in on it, but there's big ones everywhere. They're all over the place. You should see down in the front, down by the road, they're just piled deep and high. Okay, I suppose I'm just going to leave it at this. We have new species. We have no-toes. We have nagas. We have all kinds of things. Dragons, serpents. And it ain't bragging if it's true. It's true. All right, this is some more of Tish's feet. These are eroded. You look at that right there. That looks to me like a wingnut. I mean, seriously, look at that. It looks just like a wingnut. Now you see, remember I told you they had that stuff bolted right onto the side? That's it right there. They bolt the springs right on the side. All right, I'm not going to put you through this. You can go up and watch it. It's called What is This New Hominid, Naga or No-Toe? And this, let's see, where is Kim's Naga. Ooh, I didn't show it here. You're going to have to go find the Naga all by yourself. Oop, no, I did show it somewhere. That's okay. What you should do is start to investigate this stuff along with us at this university named that. Don't say it out loud. Just come up here and clandestinely learn reality. And then shout it from every treetop that you can find. Alright, I showed you the DNA test. At some point I showed you that. I sort of lost track. But I showed you that, and I said one thing was a gigantic fingertip that these are the fingerprints from. And that is. That's the grip skin. That's the fingerprints. And this is the skin that doesn't have it. It only starts when you get down the bottom. You end up with the fingerprints. Now, or this could even be a toe. I'm not sure. But it's certified under that test. 3 of them I had done, and this is one of them, 30 inches wide. This is the fingernail. I mean, I'm not kidding you. And the skin wrapped around, and these fingerprints, or toe prints, or whatever they are, prints, which is grip skin. These little sweat pores are what's in the grip skin. And this was way on the other side. And that's the thickness of the skin. And then it gets down to the lower levels. So, I mean, I have so much evidence to support what I'm saying. You can see that. See, that's the bone-looking thing in the back. And, you know, you can find the blood vessels. It's very, very simple. When I broke it open and got down inside there, then we took the, you know, arterial blood right out of there. They're flush with blood. This is like, you could have make the fingerprints on a wall of a post office and catch a guy with this thing. Unbelievable. Most of them you don't get the fingerprints. And I have a ton of other things laying right there too. They're much more eroded than this. It's funny because this is a fingertip from the same hand as that fingertip. This one was highly eroded. This one was almost perfect. It happens like that, and this one blew the blood out, and this one didn't. So this one was low, obviously. And because that's what explodes the blood, is the pressure of the blood draining down. And here's a knuckle from that same hand. And it's completely eroded. On one side, it's totally eroded. On the other side, it's got the muscle. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. All right, this is a left palm. This part is broken right off here. Right down here. It's not way out here. It's right about here. Now, this is the bumper pad that runs around. This is the tendon that runs right. Let's say you have one here. Do your own. You'll see it. And this is what makes connection up to the fingers up here. Now, this is 5, 6 years ago. Well, that's 8 years or so ago, I found this, and it's been outside, laying outside, and I think it's not in good shape now, but this is when originally it was in good shape, and it was just completely out of the ground. Now, you see this silvery looking stuff? That's skin. That is literally skin. Now, what is it made of? I didn't collect any of it. It's still out there. I'm sure we can get some out of there, but I feel that this is dense. Well, first of all, I think it's dense in silicon, obviously, and I also think it's dense in iridium. And I think, you know, when I say dense, there's a collection of iridium in here that is not consistent with any other body tissues, and I believe that because iridium was found in the layer of the Great Flood that they think is the iridium from some kind of asteroid impact, which it was not. The Yucatan Peninsula is not an impact. That is literally biology. And if they look at it and they call it shock quartz, they are wrong. And I can show you, which I think I have. I don't know if it was in this video. It's around here somewhere. I have shock quartz, which they'd call it shock quartz. I know it's not shock quartz. I know what it is a lung. But to find that lung, And there it is. That's what they would call shock quartz. That's what they find around these. And because I looked at the core drillings, I know what I'm talking about. If they can convince me that I'm wrong, come convince me. All right? That's shock quartz, but it's lung. All right, I'm going to just quickly look at this lung. This is what's inside of these lungs when they crystallize. And this one here still has a lot of blood left in it. As they continue to crystallize, they continue to make more and more crystal shapes and, you know, lines and all these things in them. Now, this one here, there's another one somewhere around here. Oh, here's one. This one's pretty well flattened out, all gnarled up. But if you look, you can see this is what happens to them over the course of time. They turn really crazy looking inside, and they think this is a product of an impact or something, which it isn't. It's a product of a lung crystallizing. Now, let's look at what they consider to be this Chicxulub impact event, you know, evidence. Well, we just saw something that looks very similar to that. And again, I have another lung around here somewhere that shows that same articulation, which again, I can't find the damn thing. I guess it's time to clean up. Anyway, these are little tendon balls. These are little, you see this? KT boundary. This is what they consider to be evidence to show. We know what these things are. They have nothing to do with the impact. This is all biology, 100%. They call them sphericals and all that. No, they're not sphericals. No, and then they cut and etch these things, and I don't know how they get these different colors, which they're hitting it with some kind of lights that present those colors, because this is all it is stuff like this. You know, until you play with it. And we know what this is. This is not some mystery anymore. So, it's time to start taking a look at what we really have in front of us. I looked at the core drillings. They are not what they say they are. All right, now you could look at the Yucatan core samples. Anybody that knows the stuff that I work on, this is it. This is exactly what it is. That's nothing from impact. This is all biology, 100% biology. Everything I look at, I understand. And they understand none of it. All right, let's just click on this here. You see that? That's... They have no clue what they're looking at. None. See that? They're cutting through a creature's body. And they're thinking of that impact. And they're finding iridium on this layer. That's why I say that hand looks like it might have iridium. There's a ton of aluminum in skin. I know that. There's also, obviously, a ton of silicon coats your body. That's your protective layer. Silicates are pervasive in your body. However, also, I believe iridium is in the skin. Now, I don't know what its purpose is, but I can tell you what. If it was found in a layer that they call the KT impact, which is has nothing to do with the KT boundary 65 million years ago. It is from the Great Flood, and it was nowhere near 65 million years ago. And I believe it leached out iridium from the skin layers, because it also created all of these fossilized body parts. What happened to them is they became petrified because they were soaked in wet salt water for a long period of time, and then when it was all over, they all sank to the bottom in mud, fine platypolar silicates. They created literally a coating around them, and then they turned into what we find now. Now they're drilling through somebody's body. If they drilled through that, they would find something like this. Just like they probably drilled through a lung there, because if you drilled through this is a lung. you'd find something similar to that. Right? This is turned black and this same color because it's outside in the oxygenated air. If you drilled, there's going to be red in here too. There's going to be red and black, and there's going to be red and there's going to be black. That's the nature of blood. All right? And I think they're in a lung here, and you can see there's some black and then there's some red over here. It's not a mystery.